local celebration of National Indigenous Peoples Day. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A special event was held at Marina Park. Hundreds of people from around the region made their way there for the opportunity to learn more about Indigenous culture. Nev Van Pelt joins us in studio. Nev, you were down at Marina Park this afternoon as well.
Yes, Ryan, it was a wonderful day for the community to gather together and celebrate and honor Indigenous culture. The day started bright and early with a sunrise ceremony at 5:30 a.m., followed by the opening ceremonies at noon, the powwow and its grand entry, and a community feast. June 21st is National Indigenous Peoples Day and dates back to 1996. It's an important day to recognize and celebrate the unique heritage, diverse cultures, and contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Fort William First Nation Chief Michelle Solomon shared the importance of holding this event on the waterfront.
Learn about culture and learn about the First Peoples of this land. And so, young people are learning this at an early age. So it really, if you look to the future, it's going to change the way this looks in 20 years from now, because young people from all walks of life will know, they'll have that more of that understanding and awareness of Indigenous people and what has happened throughout history.
In 2011, Thunder Bay City Council met with Fort William First Nation and created a joint declaration of commitment, with both councils pledging to meet twice a year. Acting Mayor Casey Trainee says this was put on hold just before COVID, and she wants to bring it back.
Education, ways we can do better, the ways we can work together, the collaboration. And today I asked the leaders, including me myself, being one of the leaders, to re-look at this declaration of commitment and start to look at how we can reinstate that.
The day was filled with drumming and dancing, which the community had the opportunity to join in on. Dancer Maria Kimball was here right from the start of the festivities.
I was up early with the sunrise ceremony, and so we started the day with that, and I was in my ribbon skirt and giving tobacco to the fire and listening to the elders speak was really powerful. And just getting ready for the powwow was just easy to put on my jingle dress and start dancing away, and I've been dancing since I was just a little girl.
Kimball adds she was thrilled to see the support from the community.
Oh, it's so important. It's just so lovely to be here and seeing all the faces, and it means the world to me that everyone came out for this day, and just to see a turnout like this, it's really great.
Nev Van Pelt, TBT News.
A 32-year-old Geraldton man has been arrested for bringing a loaded gun into the Thunder Bay Airport. Police were called around 8 o'clock Wednesday evening after airport security found the weapon during a pre-boarding screening. The man faces 7 charges in all, including carrying a concealed weapon, possessing a prohibited or restricted firearm with ammunition, and failing to comply with probation. The accused appeared in court yesterday and remains in custody. The number of homeless people living outdoors in Thunder Bay is greater than it was at this time last year. That revelation comes days before City Council will again discuss its response to the growing issue, which might include designated encampment sites. Vasilios Bellows explains.
Addressing homelessness in Thunder Bay becomes more challenging every year. There are currently more than 150 people estimated to be living outdoors, a significant jump compared to the same time last year. With the issue only growing, Thunder Bay City Council will once again discuss its response at Monday's meeting, which could include designated permissible encampment sites. There would be distance guidelines for these sites, including that they can't be set up within 100 meters of a school or 20 meters of any private property line.
The designated sites that would be probably proposed exist already.
McGilvery Councillor Brian Hamilton couldn't mention specific sites, but says many have set up tents in areas that already fall within the distance guidelines.
I think organically the tents have set up basically outside of parks, kind of in places that the residents of the encampments feel safe. And I think if there was any suggestion on where the designated sites would be, they're probably already there already.
Some years it may be that there's only 2 or 3 sites. Some years there could be 7 to 10 sites.
Elevate NWO Executive Director Holly Govan says the number of designated sites will fluctuate depending on the need, but believes this plan strikes a balance.
Like that it won't be mandatory. People still have the right to choose what is the best fit for them, but that there will be parameters around it that will address some of the concerns that area residents have come up with. And I think that that's a really fair and good compromise.
There's also a recommendation that the city look into funding for a built structure pilot project. The site would accommodate up to 23 cabins with separate shower, washroom, and laundry units.
There is no one single solution to this problem. We see it across the country. It takes a lot of different types of interventions in order to make this work. And so I feel like this report gives some really great options.
Govan goes on to say that the city's homeless issues are directly tied to systemic racism. She estimates that anywhere between 80 and 95% of the homeless population is Indigenous. Viciolos Bellows, TVT News.
City Council will once again debate adding parkettes to the list of surplus properties. Councillor Brian Hamilton wants to reverse a council decision from earlier this month that spared 3 of the parkettes after significant community pushback. The plan was to use the lots for much-needed housing. Hamilton says tough decisions need to be made if Thunder Bay wants to hit its targets.
If we as a council, due to political pressure, start to undermine pillars of that plan, we're not going to reach our targets. Like there are very few desirable lots in the community, and for sure people are attracted and attached to these lots. But these are vacant lots, perfect for infill development, and are an important pillar as we march towards our housing target.
The properties back up for discussion at Monday's meeting are on Thistle Crescent, Thornlow Drive, and Holly Crescent. Residents in that neighborhood have been rallying in opposition to the city's plan and were initially relieved when council removed Holly Crescent from the list. Organizer Barb Crow says she and her neighbors were shocked to find out that they'll have to fight to keep their parkette once again.
And it's like, we're back here again. They voted on it. They decided to remove 3 of the parkettes. And are they going to just keep bringing it back until they get the vote they want? I'm sensing this time many more people are really angry this time about this. We look at the waste of taxpayer dollar.
A separate demonstration is being held Sunday evening, organized by community members looking to save the Woodside Parkette. Council has already voted to declare that site as surplus, but that decision still needs to be ratified on Monday. A 31-year-old woman faces a slew of charges after she allegedly stole a vehicle and used it to pin a person against another parked car. Police got a call about the stolen vehicle in the James Street area just before 11 o'clock last night. Then a second call came in about the suspect causing a disturbance in the Limbrick Street complex parking lot. When a resident asked her to be quiet, she allegedly tried to assault that person. That's when the suspect got in the vehicle and drove toward the resident, pinning them against another car. She then fled in the vehicle and was chased by witnesses. The accused is then said to have assaulted one of those witnesses when the stolen vehicle came to a stop. The 31-year-old faces 9 charges, including vehicle theft and 2 counts of assault with a weapon. She appeared in court today and remains in custody. A shock for people in Toronto. The Ford government announced today that it's closing the Ontario Science Centre immediately due to structural issues that engineers have found in the centre's concrete roof panels. CTV's Siobhan Morris reports.
Through the day, fencing was set up. No ceremony, no big goodbye for an iconic attraction that's closing its doors for good.
Every building has a lifespan. The current OSC facility is more than 50 years old.
The problem, according to an engineering report commissioned by the government, has to do with the roof. More than half of it made of a kind of material that water can and is getting through.
November of 2023, that some of the problems associated with reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete came to our attention, and the instant it did, we began specific investigations.
There's worry the roof is vulnerable to collapse when the snow starts to fall. The repairs could cost as much as $40 million and take years. While the center is closed to the public, staff will be there until Halloween.
And move the exhibits and the attractions and the assets out of the Ontario Science Centre, that we have the time.
The rush of it all frustrating for those who hold the Science Centre dear.
They've created a crisis by deferring maintenance so they can relocate the Science Centre to Ontario Place to reward Therm Mega Spa.
That relocation plan has led to skepticism.
Especially given that we know what their end goal is, which is to justify the mega spa at Ontario Place.
The government says no one will lose their job for now. Summer camps have been canceled with plans for refunds and alternative programming at a nearby school.
This is going to throw families from Don Valleys and across the province into a tailspin. It smacks of their lack of preparation, their lack of accountability and transparency.
On Monday, the government starts looking for a temporary home for the Science Centre. Its new space at Ontario Place won't be ready until at least 2028.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. Ontario's Special Investigations Unit has terminated its probe into a February 29th crash involving a Thunder Bay police cruiser. The two vehicles collided on Nebing Avenue after a short pursuit. The SIU originally said the 31-year-old male suspect was sent to hospital with serious injuries, but the agency now says the man had no fractures or other significant injuries. The file has therefore been closed as the incident doesn't fall within the SIU's mandate. The Thunder Bay Regional Hospital and the Health Research Institute have provided an update to the community regarding the progress of their joint 2026 strategic plan. Officials say for the second straight year, they've continued to move closer to achieving their goals. The strategic plan focuses on 5 pillars: equity, diversity and inclusion, patient experience, staff experience, research and innovation, and a sustainable future. The ultimate goal is to continue to improve healthcare in northwestern Ontario. This year's focus has been specifically on equity, diversity and inclusion. Hospital President Rhonda Crocker-Ellicott says she's really proud of the progress they've made.
When we look at where we're trying to go, our vision is exceptional care for every patient every time. And when you think about it, what do you want for you, for your family member, for your community, for your region? You want to have that exceptional care experience. So what are those components of getting to exceptional care that are important? So we engaged our community and our region, our staff, everyone early on to say, what are the building blocks to get to that experience?
Initiatives to support this commitment include the addition of Indigenous care coordinators, mandatory cultural safety training for all staff, and enhancements to the hospital environment to create a more welcoming space. The Norwester Hotel is under new ownership. A First Nations group finalized the purchase yesterday afternoon, investing millions to take over the Best Western property on Highway 61. The Norwester Hotel is now owned by HT Norwester LP, a group made up of 7 Northwestern Ontario First Nations and 1 First Nations-owned business, the Landmark Inn. President Luke Reynolds isn't saying how much it cost to acquire the hotel, but notes it's a huge milestone and a major investment. Reynolds says the group plans to capitalize on First Nations travel to the city to bring hotel occupancy up near 100%. He hopes to start seeing return on the investment by year's end.
They're looking at this as an investment and keeping money in the family. As you know, they have to travel great distances and at a great cost to get here. So it just makes sense that keeping money in the family.
This new organization is a very, very strong organization, and they're very determined to their goals and have big aspirations as well. So I'm quite excited, and so are all the staff at the Norwester Hotel.
Martinez says all the staff are staying on and the hotel will continue operating as a Best Western. The lease for the Thunder Bay Tournament Centre will remain with the hotel's previous owners, the Friesen Group, until it expires at the end of 2025. Reynolds says his group hopes to take over the lease at that time. Throughout the month of June, the McGilvery Pipe Band is playing free concerts outside local retirement residences. Last night, the band gathered out front of Southbridge Pinewood on Walsh Street to help spread some joy to the elderly residents. The community band has been playing in the city since 1917 and loves to perform with a so-called Scottish flair. The troupe plays for anyone who wants to listen and is always looking to attract some new players. Drum sergeant and band member Clint Kraft explains that the pipe band has been playing at seniors' homes since before his 20-year tenure began.
Because they don't get out to see much, and they can come out front and put their lawn chairs out, and we do all the legwork and the hard work, come in with our instruments, march back and forth, play some good stuff for them, and they enjoy it.
The band has 2 more shows scheduled for next week at Chartwell Glacier Ridge on Wednesday and Hogarth Riverview Manor on Thursday. Then in July, they'll continue the tradition of playing Thursday evenings at Hillcrest Park. Well, turning over to weather now, Fiona, today would have been a great day to catch one of those outdoor performances because it was beautiful out there.
It really was, and that's despite a system that was just skirting to the south of us. Once again, we've had one yesterday, another one today. As you see, it stayed south across Lake Superior, but other areas still were affected. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we had a low of 8 and a high of 23, but with it a humidex of 25, so it felt just as it should. We did have a brief cloudy period that had my heart going into palpitations around noon, but sun started to peek out again in the afternoon. Winds very light from the southwest, 2 to 13 kilometers per hour. Now, as I said, other areas weren't quite as lucky as we were. Fort Frances has had a lot of cloud today and periods of rain this afternoon. At this time, they're cloudy at 23. They started the day at 8 Celsius, so it was a nice warm up. Red Lake, however, under partly cloudy skies, had a much milder night. They started at 13 and warmed up to 24 under just a few clouds at this hour. Nothing but sunshine through Armstrong and Greenstone. Beautiful temperatures in the mid-20s as well. Bit cooler on the North Shore. That southwest flow keeping things cool off the Lake Marathon at 15, 18 in Wawa. And Sault Ste. Marie had overnight showers that dissipated this morning. They did warm up to 21, but as they were at under mostly cloudy skies, but as the rain has moved back in, temperatures have taken a bit of a hit and they're back down to 18 at this hour. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are going to drop down to a low of 9 tonight with a few clouds. Winds will continue to be very light, but start to rotate around from the northeast, 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. And it's looking like Saturday is going to be better than originally anticipated, which is good news because Sunday's still kind of iffy. But if folks had plans for being outdoors on Saturday, it's probably a good thing. So I suggest you lace up your shoes and get out running because it's going to be a good day to do it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I won't be participating, but there is a 24-hour run that begins tomorrow morning. I know there were a lot of runners who were really looking at that forecast.
Well, it's going to be good news for them, but you know, I try to help you and you just turn your back on me.
Well, maybe I'll get out and just run around the neighborhood. We'll see how it goes.
There you go.
All right. Well, when we return, we'll turn our attention to the Greater Toronto area. 4 people have been shot in Vaughan, Ontario, 1 fatally. We'll have details on that and more when your Friday News Hour continues right after the break.
I heard the cop cars and the sirens going off, one after the other, one after the other.